and welcome to episode 10 of Super-Duper Woo-Fighting Duo with Capes. Yes, I'm all on my lonesome again for the intro and outro recording for the podcast. Marianne is out partying or something, and I'm totally not jealous, I said through gritted teeth. Luckily though, Marianne did find time out of her busy schedule to do some podcasting, so we had a chat with Stephen Rooney from Irish Skeptics about some very, very odd things. I've split that into two, so you can have some Stephen Rooney talking with us about odd things, then some Kash Farooq talking about some weird homeopathy, and then Stephen Rooney talking with us about odd things again. So we hope you enjoy the episode. We are now joined by Stephen. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, you've brought some stories for us today, haven't you?
I do, or I have even, to be grammatically correct. Yes, no, I've been browsing the interwebs recently, and there just seems to be a plethora of stuff out there at the moment, which is kind of going on, and a lot of it mind-boggling kind of stuff. But the one which most caught my attention was probably the goings-on in Kentucky recently, which is fairly well secured within the American Bible Belt. So it's no great surprise that the creationism has flared up there once again, but in some really interesting ways. Creationist, anti-evolutionist legislation is being passed at the moment, which, if enacted, will allow teachers to use, as permitted by the local school board, other instructional materials to help students understand, analyze, critique, and review scientific theories in an objective manner. Which sounds great. I think... No, but I think it's okay if people look at scientific theories in an objective manner. They always use this language, which is like, oh, we have to examine things critically and so on, which I think is true. But what it always comes down to is, we're going to say that evolution is a lie and critically examine that rather than any other theories like the theory of gravity or atomic theory or anything. They don't seem to be interested in those. It's just evolution which they focus on.
I wonder
why. You would really, wouldn't you? But yeah, no, they do. They specifically state what they're going to be examining critically is the study of evolution, the origins of life, global warming, and human cloning. For some reason, I don't know. I can only read what's in front of me, and as is often the case when it comes to creation, so I'm like, what? I don't understand what you're talking about.
You know we don't do that, right?
Yeah, but you see, if the Republican Party in America can say that, yes, liberals want to clone everyone and things along that line, then they can paint us out to be really evil people. They want to clone people to do experiments and, see how fast they can get them to evolve, which doesn't happen. Rah! And things like that.
Yeah. I don't know. The human cloning thing really threw me, and because as far as I'm aware, that's not something which is covered in a high school science class, unless it is. Maybe they just have more interesting science classes in America than I do.
Only in the sense of IVF, which is sort of, and even then, it's not really.
Yeah, it's not really cloning in the sense of you're going out and creating life.
Well, if you. Yeah, I mean, if you know that, say, the woman's carrying some sort of mitochondrial disease, then you'll want to do somatic cell nuclear transfer, which is sort of cloning, sort of. But yeah. Sorry.
But no, it's really interesting because it's the kind of rhetoric that you see pop up in Republican debates a lot of the time. Like I think Christine O'Donnell went around. When she was running
she's
for
one of my favourite ladies
recently. Yeah, but she went around claiming that there were mice running around with human brains, I think. And
that was hilarious.
That was brilliant. Because I just had this image of like a mouse with this enormous kind of pinky in the brain kind
pinky
of
in the brain,
head. Yeah, it would have been great. I'm all for mice. If it means I get a real life pinky in the brain, I'm all for that kind of genetic engineering. Yeah, but it's the kind of thing that just gets so horribly twisted and warped out of shape. But now it does seem that there is, on a state level, at least some kind of my brain has completely failed. Sorry. On a state level, there is now legislation which is going to give local school boards the power to push evolution to the sidelines if they so wish, which is always fun and means that people like the National Centre for Science Education up in the States are going to have a fantastic year, because it's only January and this crap is already starting to pop up. Yeah, but you would think that's enough for Kentucky. You would think that they now have enough bad press in the scientific community, but no. They've also announced that they're going to have a creationist theme park built in Kentucky, which is seriously, it's brilliant. It's going to be. Is that going to be Encounter,
like the museum in Texas or wherever it is, where they have exhibits of cavemen riding triceratops with saddles and stuff?
Yeah, they have a few of them around. They have got another theme park somewhere, which I think was being run by Kent Hovind before it may or may not have been closed down due to tax evasion. Yes, no, it's going to be something along those lines. It's going to be called the Ark Encounter, which is going to feature a 500-long wooden replica of Noah's Ark with real live animals inside. Which,
yay! Let's have.
Which is.
Let's have pairs of caged animals all stuck in this life-size replica of a boat. Because that's not cruel, is it?
Yeah. I just hope they go about getting the stuff in a genuine kind of way. I mean, if they really want to be true to life to the Bible, I would assume they're going to have to go out and not fly the animals to them, because Noah couldn't have done that.
No, of course.
So, actually walk over to Australia and get themselves some kangaroos and marsupials and stuff like that. It'll be fantastic, but this thing is actually, the proposed thing is going to be 800 acres. It's going to be built on an 800-acre site. It's going to be huge. It's going to include a walled city, live animal shows, like I said, the Noah's Ark, a replica first century Middle Eastern village, an aviary for some reason, a special effects theatre, and a replica of the Tower of Babel, which sounds like a really, really strange idea, because as far as I remember, God wasn't that pleased with the first Tower of Babel. So I think it would just be hilarious if it was a bunch of creationists who finally pushed God over the edge and he returned to Earth and said, "God damn it, guys." Although maybe that's the point. I'm not sure if they're... Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be a, American-style, pimped-up version of Noah's Ark Farm Park. The place in Bristol.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I thought when I first saw it. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, except they've just got little plastic T-Rex and sheep going on the boat.
Yeah, and I mean, like all these things, like the one in Bristol, I would actually be really, really curious to go up and see it, but I don't want to give them any money.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said recently. I'm going to have a chat with some people at the next Skeptics in the pub and see if anyone does actually want to go, but yeah, the money thing is the issue.
Yeah, it's not like you don't want to encourage them. So.
And the owner of the place did actually comment on my blog, which is quite interesting.
Oh, okay. What was it? Positive, or can I ask what he said, or do I have to just run off and see it?
He was only disputing some of the old claims about their animal cruelty and welfare issues and the tigers that they supposedly got from the circus, which is a bit illegal, and they had their zoo license rebuked. Is that the word? Taken away.
Revoked.
That's the one.
Woohoo! Yeah. So, no, it's going to be very, very interesting. It's particularly because this whole thing is being run by Answers in Genesis, well, the project is being
Oh, no.
collaborated. It's a collaboration between people called the Ark Encounters LLC, who I know nothing about, and Answers in Genesis, who I know a ridiculous amount about. But it's Ken Ham's group, as far as I remember, who go around just kind of encouraging this kind of thing and giving talks to school kids and trying to brainwash them into looking at history through their biblical glasses and just basically doing everything they can to undermine evolution everywhere they go, which is interesting to say the least.
Ignorant, I think, is the word you're looking for.
That's the one. Yeah. My grammar today is just terrible. Yeah. And of course, it has sparked even more controversy, rather than the fact that, I mean, look, fair enough, if creationists want to build a theme park, I mean, they can. They have that freedom. I've no problem with it. I don't agree with it, but, you know, they have the freedom to do so if they so wish. However, what's actually sparked the controversy here is that it's being partly funded by state funds. The whole project is set to cost about $150 million. But they say it's going to create 900 jobs and it's going to bring tourism to the area and whatever. So they are apparently eligible to get a tax exemption. And I think that was it the senator for the state turned up to help launch the plans as like a job creation kind of scheme. So it's kind of being done hand in hand with the government, which in America is obviously a big no-no.
Hang on, you joke there that no one noticed. Job creation.
Yeah. It's more like job intelligent design. Yeah, no. Well, Richard Dawkins comes out and says, no, don't be ridiculous. The jobs evolved there over millions of years.
Which is kind of true.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, as it's being done kind of hand in hand, they're looking to get 25% of the money back in tax-free exemptions from the state. And there's a huge debate as to whether or not this is actually unconstitutional. Because on the one hand, separation of church and state and all the rest. But then again, it is actually a genuine tourist attraction. I mean, it's hard to argue if you build a 400 foot long replica of Noah's Ark, people are going to come, particularly in the middle of the Bible Belt, people are going to come and see it. It's going to bring a lot of business to the area. And it would be a good thing in terms of economics. So as far as I know, the debate is still raging, and I don't know if it's actually been settled yet.
But hang on a second. If it's like a day, thing where you go there and you go for a day and you go back home, and yet there's no tax, and they're getting tax exemptions, then surely it's not all that great for tourism necessarily, unless people do go and stay in there and things.
Well, I think the tax exemption the tax exemption which they get is like a partial thing. It's tax exemption in regards to the building of the park, but not maybe the running of the park.
Right.
I'm not completely 100% sure on this, to be honest, but from what I've read, that seems to be the case, where they're looking on money back, which they could then put towards building it, whereas the actual running of the park, I would assume, is still going to be a well taxed. As Kent Hovind learned, it seems to be hard to get out of paying taxes for a creationist theme park unless you want to end up in prison. So I would hope they've learned that lesson.
Well,
but yes,
you'd hope. That's the key word.
Yeah, it really is.
So yeah, if anyone else wants to ring in on that, they can email us superwooduo@gmail.com. If you know more about the tax thing, email us and we'll read it out and stuff.
There are definitely some economically minded skeptics out there, I know that.
Excellent. So that was part one of our conversation with Stephen Rooney. Next up, though, we've got Kash Farooq, and he's going to be talking to us about Weird Homeopathy. So, away you go, Kash.
Backed by popular demand. Well, Rhys assures me it's by popular demand. I'm here to look at Weird Homeopathy again. This time I'm going to talk about a journal article titled The Relationship Between Homeopathic Colour and Astrology. Now, we already know that Helios cell remedy is made out of ingredients like the colour green. And we also know that homeopaths often include astrology in their list of skills. This ensures the patient gets exactly the right remedy. It is a very important skill for homeopaths to have. Without it, they would just be guessing. So, I was pleased to discover that there are articles explaining how it all worked. At last, I could finally discover the secret of how colour remedies are linked to astrology. I'm pretty sure the journal article is peer-reviewed, so we can all trust it too. I started reading. Astrology offers us a real understanding of rhythms and cycles of life. Nothing new there. Yes, that's what astrologers believe. Of course, the gravitational attraction of Jupiter when at its closest to Earth is about 10 times less than the gravitational attraction of a large bus passing by. But that sort of science is irrelevant to astrologers. We can experience the workings of the cosmos through our energy centres, or chakras. Chakras. It said chakras. This should be good. Reading on, I discovered that colour remedies fix the imbalance in the human energy system by stimulating the ether field in which the chakras are held. They do what now? Apparently, each chakra is paired with a planet. The planet Jupiter rules the sacral chakra. I'm not sure how it rules this particular chakra and not some other one, but it does. To fix any imbalance in the sacral chakra, you need an orange remedy. Ah, I think I get it. Jupiter has an orange band or two, and that's why you need an orange remedy. Actually, no. My colour matching hypothesis went out of the window when I discovered that red is aligned with Saturn and not Mars. This pairing up of colours and planets, it's obviously far more complicated than I had imagined. I'm glad that I'm not responsible for making these sorts of health decisions. You clearly need the relevant qualifications. The homeopath who wrote this article has qualifications. From the Society of Homeopaths, of course. I wonder, since Pluto has been demoted from being a planet, it's now just a dwarf planet, does that mean the corresponding chakra is now defunct? Or perhaps you actually need to megadose in the appropriate colour remedy to prop it up? This is clearly a complex subject. What happens if I took too much remedy? I don't want to overdose on a colour now, do I? It is articles like this which led someone to recently find the Thought Stash blog with the search text, "Are all homeopaths crazy?" I'll leave you to make your own mind up. This is Kash Farooq, investigating the bizarre world of weird homeopathy for SWD. You can find me on Twitter at Kash Farooq, and I blog at The Thought Stash.
Thank you once again to Kash Farooq for his excellent Weird Homeopathy pieces. We look forward to more of them on Super-Duper Woo-Fighting Duo with Capes, as I'm sure you all do. But now it's time for some more of our talk with Stephen Rooney. And this time it's about, well, I think I'll let you find out for yourself.
It's a hilarious, crazy one, this. If you go to www.deeptrancenow.com/shapeshifting, if I can say that, you end up with something really quite hilarious.
It reads like a poem. It really does.
It does.
Yeah.
And we're still not sure.
Yeah, I'm still really confused. I've had this tab open actually for a while, and right at the top of the page, there's a GIF of a woman shape-shifting into a tiger. And because every time I open my internet browser, this thing is staring at me, I actually think she's starting to hypnotize me herself. Which is
shape-shifting is real if you buy this CD.
Yes.
It's in the first sentence, so it's insane. The term is most often used in reference to your ability to change the shape of your body. It is broader sense, literally. It also includes changing your environment, which, to be honest, just sounds like decorating to me.
Yeah, I do love the idea. The idea basically is that for a mere $24.95, they will sell you a CD. which is going to, you put it on and you listen to it, and will bring you into a hypnotic trance, which will then teach you how to shapeshift. Which you do by changing the shape of a specific energy field. I love that word, energy, which pertains to a physical object or something that is intangible, which I think is an important little clause that they have in there. Because, well, they say this trance will either let you change the shape of your physical body or it won't. And either way, which is actually quite clever. But at the same time, you have to kind of acknowledge that they're saying you can turn your body into something else, which is not so clever. Because, as far
I think
as
my favourite bit... Sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think my favourite bit, a couple of paragraphs down, is where it says, vast majority of shapeshifters do not undergo a complete physical transformation and may outwardly appear pretty much the same, i.e. they will still look pretty much steady human being. Even though there may be some more or less obvious behavioural changes, other people will still be able to sense the change. So it's like, you'll probably just look the same.
Yeah, no, I love the idea that people can sense the fact that you've changed your shape, and like you'll walk up to someone in the shops and they go, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, I'm getting a very tigery feel off you today." have you shape changed into a tiger but still look like a human?
God damn it, tricking me like that!
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
So I think my other favourite get out of jail free clause is the all shapeshifting occurs on an energy level. So yeah, again, not a physical level. And further on down, this is where it gets even weirder. To a certain degree, we are all shapeshifting all the time because our thoughts and emotions affect our energy field, the energy we project and the energy others perceive. Sometimes we do this intentionally for a specific purpose, also known as putting on makeup. And sometimes because something affected us greatly and we just lost it. Yeah, you know, when you cry and your face goes all red. But basically, that paragraph is saying, you age, and you look different as you age.
Yeah, if you look at how your body changes over the years, and if you look at people around you, a physical change will be obvious. No shit.
Yeah. It's like hair has started to grow where no hair grew before. And I mean, while that's interesting from a human perspective, I'd be really fascinated to see. It's like, oh no, I've hit puberty, I've changed into a tiger. Damn it! The striped skin thing isn't really working for me.
To look forward to.
Yeah.
I am not prepubescent.
Yes, I know. I'm kidding.
Yes, I just had better make that point. Yeah.
Just for anyone who wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Anyway.
Moving on from puberty.
Yeah. No, it is. There is fascinating stuff in there. They seem to really hedge their bets, where they're kind of saying the vast majority of shapeshifters do not undergo a complete physical transformation and may outwardly much look the same and blah, 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 blah. But they keep hinting that there are people, you're probably not one of them, but there are people out there who can completely physically change. And I assume when you spend your $24.95 and you get your CD, and then you find that you haven't changed into a ferret.
Oh well, my energy field has.
Yeah, it's
People know that I'm a
internally.
ferret.
Suddenly I'm drawn to trouser legs and want to force myself to them.
Yeah, but they bring up the strangest the strangest examples of shapeshifting to kind of support their theories. Where they're talking about, most people think about werewolves, which they misspell, by the way, and cat people. But, all through history there has been shapeshifting. I mean, for example, they say that different styles of kung fu martial arts have been developed based on the observation of the movements of different animals. And to the best of his ability, a martial artist becomes inwardly, again, on an energy level, that phrase, an animal whose movements and particular skills he desires to emulate. So, which, I mean, on the one hand, I found kind of disappointing, because, well, it's bollocks. Also, they say you'll only become a martial artist will only become on an inward and energy level. The creature that they're trying to trying to emulate, which disappointed me terribly because I thought we could maybe someday soon see a live action Kung Fu Panda.
That'd be awesome.
Brilliant. Actually, Jack Black transformed into a panda and kicking ass.
Except if he actually became a panda, I'm not sure he would quite understand everything that was going on. He might just, try to attack.
But you see, they go on to qualify. Your physiology will, on the other hand, also affect your neurological response. For example, standing like a gorilla will tend to activate your reptilian brain.
David Icke.
What?
Sorry, no, yeah, I think I'm about to say probably something similar to you. That one paragraph actually I had to read it like 5 times. Yeah. I still don't know what it means.
I don't know what they mean.
Well, for one, neither humans nor gorillas are reptiles.
Yeah, unless of course you read your inner fish, in which case. But yes, no, I don't. And they say you should do this. You should stand like a gorilla to activate your reptilian brain to create an optimal state if you're about to engage in physical combat. What in the name of God? I mean, yeah.
It's like bullcrap onion, isn't it?
It is just like that. I'm so sorry. There's a phrase that I coined a while ago. If you have kind of layers of ridiculousness, it's like a bullshit onion.
Oh, that's a good one, actually. I have to steal that.
Yeah, I thought it was quite good. Remember that I came up with that.
Copyright Marianne.
Yeah.
Credit you every time.
Yeah, and the podcast. Credit the podcast every time.
Yeah. Yeah. They also bring up berserkers for some reason, which and the Scandinavian sagas, which.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know, because it gets quite confusing because when you mention the Scandinavian sagas, there's like 2 very, very distinct kinds of saga that come out of the Viking history, and some of them are very, very realistic, and they're all very, you can relate to everything that's happening, and I mean, there's nothing too crazy going on. It's just some people fight and they get killed, and there's politics and it's religion and whatever. They're great stories and actually pretty decent historical material in some cases. But then there's a smaller set of sagas, which is the legendary sagas, which is where you get your elves and giants and magic and all this kind of stuff. And they keep quoting bits which are either really weirdly cherry-picked out of proper sagas or just taken straight out of the legendary sagas. Like, oh yes, this guy was a shapeshifter. He turned into a bear, and he used to run into battle and kick everyone's ass because he was a bear and he was a shapeshifter and he could do that.
That's kind of worrying that they're suggesting. Apparently, berserkers were quite often immune to weapons. For me, if I was scanning this, I was like, oh, does that mean your stuff will make me impervious to guns?
Yeah, I mean that is the kind of wonderful, magnificent shit that they are actually peddling here. But there are elements of it which are true, though. I mean, berserkers did used to take drugs which would drive them into a frenzy, whereby they would ignore pain. So, I mean, even if you were stabbed, chances are they were still going to keep going. But yeah, I mean, they keep quoting things like what's the saga they quote? Egil's saga, Skallagrimms, and Icelandic names.
Skallagrimsanar.
Yeah,
or something.
It's great. And they say, oh, he was often described as a shapeshifter. I thought, well, I'll look this up. And it's true. The character of Egil in this saga, he's described to come from a family with a history of shapeshifters who become suddenly mad, violent, and cruel, although at times they are otherwise deliberate and wise. Which
so that's
doesn't
not
actually.
True.
That's
not. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I mean, they're described as shapeshifters, but what it sounds like is just, well, they happen to be bipolar, which isn't necessarily the same thing as, yeah, he turned into a bear regularly. So, like I said, they seem to be picking very, very selective, very small quotes out of sagas, or just, taking stuff which is clearly kind of magic. It's going, yep, look, here we go.
Yep, this saga that may or may not have happened proves our theory.
Yeah. I'm just wondering though about the the kind of people who are going to go out and buy this, and I was trying to think who. I mean, people. They say here you may already feel a particular affinity for a specific animal. For example, cat-loving people would maybe want to shapeshift into big cats. Which was, I was going, well, I mean, I like my cat.
Don't want to turn into one.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily want to turn into a lion. So I think that would make Skeptics in the pub just a little bit awkward.
No, you could just scare them all. You could like randomly turn into a lion and then be like, rah! And then everyone would be like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then you could turn back into a human and they'd be like, yeah, of course you were the lion.
Yeah.
All cynical and everything. Cynics in the pub.
Yeah.
Some sort of weird Narnia crossover.
Skeptics in the pub /
wardrobe.
Narnia. Skeptics in the
wardrobe.
Yeah, there'd be a little bit of it.
Yeah. No, the best thing I can imagine would be like going over to see James Randi and he'd be like, oh, so you're here to win the $1 million, are you?
$1 million.
I'd be like, yes. And it's like, well, what can you do? This, blah! And then I'd turn into like an alligator. And he'd be like, oh, well, there we go.
There you are.
Scientific to me.
Anyway, if you head over to the testimonials tab, then there are apparently a lot of emails from people who have bought these things that they're selling, and it's not just the shape-shifting stuff. It's mostly people who have been buying their how to be successful at gambling type stuff, or how to improve your luck. Like they have slot machine CDs, winning horse races CDs, and that kind of thing. It's quite worrying.
Yeah, this slot machine one in particular is this really makes me doubt that this website is real. That's the sad thing. It's like, I've been using your slot machine hypnosis CD for several years now. I have reported to you before that I've won money in the casino using it. Well, yeah, if you go to a casino often enough, then you probably will win money due to, chance and everything. And it says, what is it? Well, I started thinking back to the training CD and realised I wasn't following what I needed to be doing. After a nap, I went back to the machines and started paying attention to my own intuition. In less than an hour, I had won 2 jackpots on 2 different machines. And, these CDs affecting things that we cannot affect. It's like, it reminds me of that homeopathic remedy, I think it was the Wall of China, where when they were doing the proving, people were late for work. So therefore, it could cure you being late for work. And or just being late, and it's like, well, you taking something isn't going to affect the outside world, unless it's your perception of the outside world and you're taking like LSD or something.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a weird website because you go and you look at something like that. It's like, oh, okay, well, you can't possibly affect the slot machine. It's all random chance or whatever, So okay, and then you go back and then you realize, wait a minute. I came here because they're talking about shape-shifting. In terms of the impossibility scale, I think shape-shifting is pretty high up there. So it's they've nearly set the bar so high that I can go to any other section of their site and go, actually, this sounds reasonable. And they've got a section here on alchemy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I mean, maybe, but... just shut up about the shape-shifting and I'll let you talk about the alchemy for a while, okay?
Well, it's funny because I haven't yet found a testimonial where they say, I bought one of your shape-shifting things and it's worked. It's all people who've been gambling, or there's like amazing healing results. I broke my foot. Doctor said that it was getting better, even though they said I had this and that. And then I went back and it was getting better. Thank you for your tape. And it's like,
yeah, there are some really odd testimonials, and I think
taller.
Oh, I should get that.
Yeah.
I think I will put links to these testimonials and to the website in the show notes, definitely, for the lulz.
Oh, this is a nice one regarding growing taller. I took your suggestion. I'm happy to say all my doubts have been removed. I grew half an inch a week later after this realization. You're right when you say that worldview is extremely important, blah, 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 blah. I've changed my visualization completely. No longer do I visualize my body as flesh and blood, but as pure energy or light.
Whoa, that's inspirational. So basically now we don't need to buy the grow taller thing because we know what we need to do. We just need to visualize. I need to visualize myself as a body of energy and light rather than, flesh and blood and organs and stuff.
Yeah. I'm just looking through these. These are fantastic. There's one here on bone density.
Yeah.
I purchased a custom thing for bone growth, for height and bone density, and it's made a difference. It doesn't say what it's done.
Yeah, I love that one.
There's a fair few actually for grow taller. Grow taller seems to be popular, and you have one for balding, which is quite common. It's all gambling and growing taller and breast enlargement for some reason.
Oh, like that magic.
MMS one.
The magic spells that you could buy on eBay.
I don't remember that.
Oh, do you not? I think there was a booty enhancement one that you could buy.
Was it ice cream?
Ben and Jerry's booty filler.
There's another one here that's quite ironically called Truth and Lies. I was very impressed with your insights on the latest newsletter article, Truth and Lies. Well written and a profound message for all. Well,
sorry, go on.
No.
I was saying I found one. I have been working on your shape-shifting CD, and while I haven't changed much in a physical sense, the changes I created inwardly, on an energy level, certainly did create some interesting effects on people around me. More than anything else, I found these skills both practical and fun. I'm becoming more and more aware of many different places and situations where I can use them. I'm trying to think of how many business meetings I'm going to be in where inwardly I'm thinking, I am a llama.
It'll be fine.
Don't spit in his face.
Yeah, you can spit in people's faces and just say, "Well, I'm a llama. I can do these things."
Maybe you could cure baldness by playing this one backwards, stopping hair growth. They've got one about that.
Rather than buying, both of them, so that you can get the optimal hair length and things that you want, you could just play it backwards. Excellent. And then there's the infinite life, memory and accelerated learning one. I've heard a lot of good things about your products, most recently from a friend who said he bought your infinite life, memory and accelerated learning CDs and had success with them. That's why I became interested in your products. AJ, USA. And that's the extent of the testimonial. It's like saying, my friend bought these CDs, he said that he had success, so basically he's now living because he's got the infinite life. And so this person became interested in the products. What a testimonial.
Wow. I have an invisibility one here. Which my younger brother experimented with your basic invisibility techniques at school and was very excited with the effects he managed to create. He asked me to tell you that he loves your CD. Great.
I don't understand. They take the piss out of themselves. This again suggests this may be rubbish. If you go to on the left the menu that says Hypnosis Comics, they're linking to Dilbert and stuff.
Yeah, I saw that, and I wasn't sure if... I mean... Yeah, I don't know if they are actually just, taking themselves not too crazily seriously, or they're like, oh, look, we have a sense of humor too. Or if they're just dumb, or if it's a fake, or what. It is hilarious, though. The entire site is brilliant.
It's definitely worth a read, even if it is fake, for the lols.
Yes.
I have a new history generator here, and the testimonial actually doesn't give you any clue as to what it might do. I've now received the 2 CDs you sent me, and I've been using them constantly since. As a clinical hypnotherapist myself, I really appreciate how you've mastered hypnotic technique combined with your heartfelt compassion and amazing talent. It doesn't say anything about generating a new history.
Oh, it's like on the Doctor Who episode when the Doctor went back and changed the boy's life, and therefore the person had a new history. So I think basically she's invoking Doctor Who here.
Oh, there's eyesight improvement here, which I could definitely do with. Dear Laura, just writing to you on my progress. I've been listening with my ears, I assume, to your hypnosis CD. I have been wearing glasses with -2 lenses, and they are now, or -4 lenses, and they are now -2. Woohoo! I still have some way to go, but I'll keep up the routine, and I'd be really, really interested to know what age this person is, because up until I think in your mid-20s, your eyes do keep changing anyway. I mean,
well, as with a lot of them, like the grow taller type things, you know.
Yeah, that's right. It'd be great if I said to my 14-year-olds, "Gonna grow taller."
Oh, I wonder though if you used the grow taller thing, and you could grow to be like the size of a giant. You know, you could grow to like 4 meters tall.
That'd be really interesting, just from a biological perspective. It's like a 4-meter tall man. How does that work?
4 meter tall men. How do they work?
Yeah, I think the best thing though is just to buy all of it, and then you can grow to be a really, really tall, invisible man who can stop his hair growth at will, and also turn into a lion.
And you could purchase their Supraliminal Plus CDs for seduction, sexual attraction, relationships, sexual health, and sexual enhancement for men or women.
And you'll be really, really good at gambling too.
Yeah.
So,
become lucky.
You could be like a millionaire very quickly, and then just be tall, amazing, and you could be like the best person in the world. I don't know why these other people haven't tried them, you know, and haven't become the best people in the world.
Yeah, it's funny that you haven't seen them like mentioned on the news so far. It's like, well, here is this young boy who is invisible. Hello, sir. How are you? That would be an awesome kind of Britain's Got Talent act. It's like, what can you do? Well, I turn invisible. Then I turn into an invisible tiger.
And then I turn back into a normal human.
Uh-oh. I've just gone to recommended sites, and under one of them they have supplements to keep your mind sharp and your body younger, healthier, and more beautiful. And they have a link to growth hormone boosters. Is that not illegal?
Yes. So that's how you're growing. What you do is you listen to the CD, which tells you to go and buy this growth hormone, and then you inject yourself with the growth hormone, and you grow.
Symbiotropin, 20 servings. Row.
Servings?
Yeah, it's probably translated from something.
Oh. Anyway, so, well, thank you very much for joining us. This has been a very entertaining segment.
Well, thank you so very much for having me.
Thanks for bringing us these stories. They've provided many lulls.
Yes.
You are very, very welcome. Sorry, I'm still browsing the testimonials. So it's like, I think I may be here for the rest of the day. But no, thank you so very, very much for having me, and it's been an absolute pleasure to come and chat.
Me too.
Thank you, and goodbye.
So, unfortunately for you, this is all we have time for in this week's episode of Super-Duper Woo-Fighting Duo with Capes. We've reached double digits. I hope we can continue. That is, if Marianne can find time out of her very busy schedule, you know, with working and all that. If she can't, I might just have to fire her and hire someone else. But for now, you can find her on Twitter at Noodlemaz and her blog, noodlemaz.wordpress.com. And you can find me on Twitter at Rhys Morgan, or my blog, thewelshbio.co.uk. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun to record, and also rather enlightening. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.